Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Collab Live, where we speak to a different Video My Job user every quarter to give you insights into how they successfully leveraging video in their talent to brand strategy. Now, I'm Megan, the product marketing manager here at Video My Job.
And I'm Bowden, the customer success lead.
And we're so excited because in this session, we'll be talking to Maggie Partsi from Transurban, and she's our guest for today's session. Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Megan. Hey, Bowden. How are you both going?
Yeah, really
Really well,
good. Really good. Now, before we get stuck in, I'm just going to do some housekeeping. So there is a chat function for everyone that's dialed in today. So please feel free to post any questions you might have for Maggie, and we'll monitor those and answer the questions during the session. But yeah, look, I just wanted to sort of call out, firstly, thank you so much for joining us today, Maggie. Before we get started, I just wanted to share with our guests that, when I first had this idea of creating this community initiative, and before I even knew what Collab was going to be about, you were one of the first people that I reached out to. So I got in touch because, of the amazing work that you guys are doing at Transurban. And I loved what you guys were doing in the space. And so at the time we sat down for a written Q&A. So I'm like even more excited because we actually get to have you on our live show today. So
I'm excited too. Don't worry, it's not just you.
So look, without further ado, Maggie, I'll just jump straight in. Can you, and can you introduce yourself to our guests? Tell us a little bit about your role and the core mission of your team.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Maggie. I'm the Marketing and Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Lead at Transurban. So it's a very two-pronged role. You've got marketing on the one side, which is everything from your digital content, metrics, video marketing, communication strategy, all that kind of creative, interesting stuff. And then on the D&I side as well, looking at, diversity inclusion within our teams. How can we get more diversity throughout the company? Really promote our motto of everyone belongs, and really tie that into the content that we're posting and promoting. So my background is digital marketing and strategy and copywriting. I did have a short foray as well in HR and recruitment, which kind of got me to really think about the employer brand perspective and things like that. Having worked at tech companies, startups, and now at Transurban, which is really exciting because we get to do quite a few interesting things. And I sit within the people and culture team, working closely with marketing, social media, and also the talent acquisition staff.
Yeah, that's a wonderful set of experiences to bring into this role and into this space in general, Maggie. So what made you explore a video solution and what led to the implementation of Video My Job?
Yeah, so I guess it's been quite evident, the play button is one of the most compelling call to actions on the internet. It's a very engaging sort of format, people get to view it, especially as, everything's going online and digital and has been for many, many years now. We need to think outside the box. How can we do something that's a little bit different to what everyone else is doing? Obviously, we've still got text and imagery and things like that, but we've just found video is probably the most engaging and interactive format.
I love that. The play button is the most compelling call to action on the internet. If that's your work, that's really
it makes you want to click it, doesn't it? Because it's just that anticipation of what am I going to see? It lures you in.
It is so true. That is so true. Maggie, so can you share with us specifically, like how you're using the platform to solve for your use cases within Transurban?
Yeah, absolutely. So since I started just over a year ago now, we've done so many different things. Initially, I did an analysis of the current content we were putting out. There wasn't really too much marketing video focus. So I really wanted to implement that. We started by creating a use test case. So basically, I tried to find an area of the business that was really interesting, really stimulating to audiences. And I went out to our traffic control room, which is kind of this center with all these large screens, and everyone can kind of see what's happening on the roads. And we've got operators in there sitting, making sure everyone's safe on our roads. And if there's any issues, anything happening, they call the incidents response team. And, there'll be things like car breakdowns or, the other day there was just a giant pig on one of our roads. So we came and did a bit of an animal rescue.
That's fine. It's normal.
Just a usual Tuesday.
Yes. So I thought it was just such a fascinating part of the business that, a lot of people don't know about. So went down down to there, did a whole bunch of filming, got a lot of people talking about what they do there, how they do it, what a day in the life of looks there. And then really put together a few videos, one full video, a few snippets for social media as well. And then once that content was created, I really wanted to look at, the metrics and analytics and how do we actually measure it? Because a lot of the time, you'll get to be really creative and create this amazing piece of content. You put it out there and then it kind of just flows off into the ether and people just forget about it. But I found actually measuring the results is such a great way to prove that, this actually had an impact. So we measured things like engagement, your reach, impressions, clicks, all those things. But we took it one step further to actually measuring conversions to applications. So we put the videos on Seek, on our careers side, on LinkedIn. And then we looked at how many people actually applied who had interacted with that content. And then how many people we actually hired based off that. And then from the D&I perspective as well, we tried to feature some of our really, really amazing women that work in that space, and then look at, gender diversity as well in those applications. And we actually had quite a successful case. We ended up hiring, I think, 3 women into those roles where previously there was, not many at all. And then after that, I guess we just use that case to bring to the business to really show, this is the video content we created. This is the outcome we had, obviously raise the brand awareness through that reach. But it also converted to some really quality hires that we were able to hire in a reduced time frame as well. So having something like that to showcase to the business is a really great way I found of actually showing them what we can do rather than, just saying, oh yeah, let's make a video, it'll be great.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing that you guys had that you had the foresight to do that, but then also that, measuring that and being able to take that back to the business. Incredible. Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful that you've been able to bring those meaningful outcomes to life, because there's so much in the world that can sometimes just be like a vanity metric, but you're presenting things that actually have a real impact on the business and tying them back to the use of video. Which kind of leads me to my next question. What are the adoption challenges that you faced in getting people to use Video My Job and creating videos in the first place?
Yeah, so I think with everything that's new, people will always have a little bit of apprehension. They're like, well, we've never done this before and what we're doing kind of works, so we might as well just stick with it. So I feel like introducing something new, no matter what it is always a little bit difficult. So I think, providing that use case was really, really great. We were quite lucky that the people within the traffic control room were really into it. And, a lot of them actually wanted to get on camera, but obviously not everyone is like that. So I think presenting those stats to show that it worked. I always say as well, we're not aiming for Titanic, we're aiming for TikTok. So don't worry, it doesn't have to be super high quality production. You don't have to, give an Oscar winning performance. I can help with scripting. I can help with filming. And of course, if someone's not comfortable being on camera, they can always just nominate someone else in the team to be part of it. We want it to be genuine and authentic. We don't want to, tell them what to say. And we also don't want to force them to be on camera if they don't want to. So it's just about finding those people that actually are interested and do want to do that, and then just working together with them, making sure that they feel comfortable on the day as well. And I found also letting them know as well, we can do as many takes as we want. You don't have to nail it first go. We can stay here until you're happy with the outcome. And then, as people kind of ease into it, they kind of get a bit more relaxed. They get a feel for it. And once we kind of see the results as well, it's really good. And we've actually had people then interview saying, oh, I saw you in that video and that was really cool. And it becomes a bit of a talking point in the actual interview process. And it helps candidates feel more comfortable with their person that they're meeting as well, because they've already seen them in some content. So, it's, I guess, a bit of a win-win for everyone.
Actually, just to go off script a little bit, I just wanted to dive into that a little bit deeper, Maggie, because I think what you're describing there is that some people actually understand what's in it for them at the individual. I'm sure everybody is bought into the company mission, the organizational goals, which is essentially you're trying to win the battle to attract top talent to bring that to your organization. Are you coming across people who connect to that individually in a way that helps them overcome, their maybe reluctance a little bit to get on camera?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so gratifying as well, seeing people that are initially a little bit scared, but then they get on camera. And a lot of people afterwards say, I'm really, really glad that I did that,
Yeah.
because it kind of pushed them out of their comfort zone, and, it got them a bit out of their day-to-day job. Most people aren't on camera, every day. It's not part of their role. So getting to do something a little bit different, break up the day, we've actually found has been, quite gratifying. And, definitely it brings them closer to our business, vision and model, and makes them feel more part of what we're doing.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, thanks.
Amazing. You do mention, so, video job ads seems to be the core focus of what you're doing, specifically with Video My Job. Are the other use cases within that sort of space, Maggie, that you use the platform to solve for other use cases within your business?
Yes, absolutely. So at the moment, we're working on building out a communication strategy for our talent pools and candidates, and we're very much going to be incorporating video into that. We've also already incorporated it into our candidate comms. So, for example, as they're about to go into an interview, they'll receive a video with the team that they're actually going to be meeting. That way, it gives them a bit of a heads up on these are the people you're going to meet. Have a look, and then, like I was saying before, they feel more comfortable in that interview. And it's just a really engaging way to interact. Also internal communications as well, really sharing those, inspiring employee stories to help with internal mobility. Because it's such a large business, someone will be working in one team on a different floor and they won't know very much about what the other team's doing. And then they kind of see a video around what they're doing and what they like about it. And, each team I feel like has its own little individual mini culture. So having internal people find out about that as well has really helped to get them interested in those internal roles and move people into secondments and other opportunities outside of their teams. Social media, of course, is always a great one, putting little snippets on LinkedIn and Facebook, things like that, really building that brand awareness. And then, to the next phase of actually building brand advocacy, where people not only recognize and, see our brand, but they're also advocates of the brand. They genuinely enjoy the content that we're putting out and they like engaging with it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It seems too that there are kind of three elements to the strategy. On one hand, with things like job ads, you're trying to attract that top talent to your organization. You're effectively making a promise to the marketplace of talent. Then there's the convert stage. So what happens to them when they arrive within your ecosystem? Do they get the promise delivered when they arrive? And is it consistent with the message that you've put out? But then what you said there too about the internal piece, that's effectively the retain stage, because when you've got those people in your organization and they're starting to make those connections, you're moving them towards that kind of loyalty and advocacy piece where that then loops back to your attract and retain, right? That's how you're getting the additional content.
Full cycle. I always say marketing shouldn't stop, when they start. It's an ongoing process, even throughout onboarding and afterwards. We're actually creating a bit of a Mythbusters series at the moment as well, sort of busting some myths around Transurban, what we do.
What are the myths?
While we are a top ASX listed company, there's still people out there that don't actually know what we do. We'll have people asking, are you only in Melbourne, or, are you a bus company? Which obviously we don't do. We actually had one candidate come in and say, I caught a Transurban bus on the way here. And we're like, that's not possible. We don't run buses. It's just about, correcting those preconceived notions that some people might have, and really, providing the correct information around what we are and what we do. We're not just a toll road company. We build and operate roads that are safer and smarter. We're doing things like testing automated trucks and, seeing how our roads actually communicate with these driverless vehicles. So it's just so great to be able to actually put all that content out there as well. And really get our message across in terms of who we are, what we do, and why it's a great place to work.
Driverless vehicles, hey? Whole new world.
Scary.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that segues quite well into, because you've spoken a little bit about what you're doing. So can you tell us a little bit about what wins you're getting from all these amazing initiatives that you guys have put into place, and just incorporating video into your strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So that goes back to sort of that measurement metrics, looking at, how is the content performing? And, we get metrics from LinkedIn, from Seek, within our ATS as well. We look at things like that engagement I was talking about, but then also, the conversions into how many applicants, how many female applicants, how many hires. So I usually do a quarterly report. Each quarter I report back to the business with some of those stats. And it's really great to see some of those, increases. For example, last quarter we had 188% increase in applications, and actually around 200% increase in females that are applying for our role, and then actually of those converting into hires as well. So I'll usually do a presentation back to each business unit that the video was created for, after we've launched the video campaign, and then also the quarterly reporting back to the business itself. But yeah, it's really nice to actually see the results, because sometimes, you're creating something and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not sure if this is going to work. But then, you measure and it ends up doing really well. And it just kind of validates those assumptions that you had to begin with.
Yeah, nice.
Amazing. And Maggie, sorry, just to, just for our guests out there that are listening as well, when you're doing videos for your job ads, are you doing it for every, because I'd hate for, somebody on here to think that they'd need to do it for every single job ad. Like how are you differentiating that? What's your strategy around that?
Yeah, absolutely. No, we don't want to create a video for every single role, because I feel like we'd just be making video content, and that would be our whole lives, and we wouldn't get home till midnight.
Yep.
So how I worked around that, rather than doing role specific videos, I've been creating meet the team kind of videos. So it'll be a video about that specific team, and each team will probably have, 20 different areas that they're actually hiring for. And then that one video can be used across all those 20 roles. And in those videos, really get to know the team culture, what they like about working there, what they do on a day-to-day. It also is a really great way of showing how people actually collaborate together within that team. And then we can use that for multiple roles around the business. Yeah, and I found it's a lot more interesting and engaging as well, because if you're just creating a video that talks about the role, the candidate can already see the job description, they can already read about the role. We're really trying to show the, behind the curtain kind of things, like a look, a day in the life. Show things that people just wouldn't see until they start in the business. So I think it's so important for people to actually see that before they join, so they know exactly what they're getting into, so we can make sure that it's right for both parties. And we've had a lot of success with retention in that as well.
So is it fair to say that in what you're kind of doing is actually building up a content library, which gives you that opportunity to kind of recut, reuse? That's an important point, I think, that you made, that it's not always about filming new content all of the time, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got a Meet the Team YouTube channel on our Transurban YouTube. Check it out. So it's got all our team footage in there. And yeah, absolutely. When we've got new video footage that we need to create, we can always combine it with old footage. We can mix and match. I'll just jump in and edit it around. So yeah, it just means every time we're not starting from scratch. We've already got a really fantastic library of content. We've also got some great B-roll of, things like teams collaborating, some of our assets, our roads, our bridges, the habitat filter, which we've got, which is really, really cool. So yeah, it's great to already have that there, which means, yeah, it just saves time when you're creating new content.
Yep. Awesome. And there was also another interesting comment that you made earlier about the different sources of data that you're using to show the results from this. And in working with a lot of our customers, I do get a lot of questions about that, because those data sources don't always talk to each other. Now, I don't want to get you to spill your own secrets here on a public broadcast, but in looking at those disparate sources of data, what are your recommendations that you could give to our audience on how you bring those together? What systems you use to create those coherent insights that people can draw value from? Because it can be difficult pulling all of that together from all these difficult sources, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing you want is to be looking across, 20 different platforms, and then, before you know it, a week's gone past and you've only got one metric. So I would say it's really great to have It's really great to have an ATS that kind of pulls all of that into it, or even a CRM or a CRM within that ATS. So there's a few things you can do. There's some really great ATSs out there. We use Workday, which to use that properly, it needs an inbuilt either plugin or a CRM built into it. There's a few different tools that you can use for recruitment marketing where you can measure like Beamery or Gem. Phenom is another one. Just depending on your ATS and what plugs into it, I would start exploring some options. The CRM really helps to measure email marketing if you're doing that, really looking, email click-throughs, unsubscribes, opens. And with some platforms, you can even set up the automated sort of marketing. So it's an if and then model. So for example, if someone's opened this email, they'll receive this email tomorrow, or if they don't, you can set up all those rules. And that's where that marketing automation really, really sets in, which is really fantastic. So it just depends on what your business has and what the budget is, I guess, at the end of the day. But there's definitely some cool things that you can do that sort of pull it all together into the ATS and make it a lot easier to have everything there in a one kind of content hub.
Yeah, brilliant. And what are the audiences that you typically report to? I mean, there's obviously your management, but are there any other audiences that generally are interested to hear more about your results and actually come back to you with kind of leading questions on what other things that they want to see? Who do you generally have to talk to?
Yeah, absolutely. So generally, it's the business unit that we're creating the video for. So we have a very big focus on tech and engineering because those are some of our critical areas with really hard to fill roles, the areas where we really need to push for that gender diversity, but not just gender, also cultural diversity, diversity of thought. We want to get as many different types of people in there. So typically they are my stakeholders as well. And, even before I create a video, I'll have a briefing session with them to really understand what we're trying to get out of it. What is our goal? What are we aiming for? What are we trying to achieve with this content? And then kind of sort of sets the expectations there and then. And then I decide based on that which metrics will be most interesting to present back to that specific team. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's a bit different between different teams. So I think just having that briefing before you kind of start is really important as well, because you don't want to get all the way to the end and you're showing these great metrics and the team's like, oh, well, actually, we didn't want to know about the converted hires. We wanted to know about the impressions, or we wanted to know about the clicks. So yeah, it's great to set it out from the outset and then loop back into it at the very end again.
Yep. Yeah, awesome.
Great. Yeah. I just want to do a call out to our audience, please. We've got a couple questions left for Maggie, but if you do have any questions, or if there's anything you're wanting her to elaborate on, or if you've got any questions for her, please do pop it in the chat so that she can get to those. Otherwise, I'll let you go with the next one.
Yeah, no worries. I guess the other thing that I guess our audiences would be most interested in, based on the other sorts of interactions that I have with customers across our customer base, is coming back to that individual motivation piece that we spoke about, that I touched on earlier with you. So I mean, there's different personalities who are more likely or less likely to get on camera. But coming back to that individual motivation piece, what other advice can you give to the audience around that when it comes to making sure that people understand the reason why they should get on camera, and also as an individual, what's in it for them to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's an amazing way for them to build out their own brand. Once they're in this video, they're really talking about what they do. Perhaps they're a leader, perhaps they've just undergone some training. It's a great platform for them to actually get their name out into the audience, and really build up that brand for themselves, which is a great way of marketing. It'll help them in their career in future. It'll be a great test case. It's something outside of their day-to-day. It shows that versatility. It shows that they're willing to be part of something like that. But I think more to the fact, the main thing is that they're going to get some really great new team members because of the work that they've put in. And, oftentimes teams will be really stretched and they've been trying to hire a particular role for, 6 months, and everyone's pitching in to do all this work. But if we do create a video, the time to hire actually is much, much less. So if they do create this video, they're very likely to have a new team member much sooner, which means that workload will then be taken off them and they can hand over properly to this new staff member, which people are often very excited about, because, if you've ever been in a team that's quite stretched, you know how eager you are to get that new person on board, someone to collaborate, share ideas with, and spread the workload. So that's often a big selling point. Other than that,
shove it all over to them.
Yeah. brand
No,
awareness. But I always say, you know, marketing is a lot about psychology as well. You know, people will often remember how you made them feel rather than, you know, the words you're saying to them. So I do always feel if I am trying to really get someone involved, it's much better to actually have a catch up with them, you know, whether face to face, have a coffee, or just organize like a Zoom chat or Teams, whatever you use. Really talk them through, make them feel comfortable, rather than just, you know, sending out bulk emails saying, hey, do you want to be in this video, which is much less likely to get a response.
Yeah. It's often some advice I give to leaders who are looking to build stronger adoption with their people. And it's just like, well, if there's two things, if your people want more reward and recognition, what better way to do it than get yourself on video, number one. And number two, if you do want those new people in your team faster and you want them to be the best people, here's your opportunity to contribute to finding and bringing those people in. So yeah, that's really good stuff. I like the way that you articulated that, Maggie. What about you, Megs?
No, I love that, Maggie. And look, you've given us so many great little nuggets of wisdom, and also, you know, just some really, really great tips. Is there any last minute tips or a tip that you want to, you know, let our audience know about, you know, as they're in their varying stages of using the platform, whether it is adoption challenges, whether it is, you know, how to is there any sort of thing, if they sort of going through something where they're just struggling, anything that you want to sort of like pass on to any of our guests today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just find a few people, even if it's yourself, get on the video yourself, find a few people in the team, you know, say you'll take them out for a coffee or a lunch, you know, just get it started. Because I feel like once you start, it's a lot easier. It's just doing that first, I guess, video or that first piece of content that's really hard. But once you kind of break through that, you've got the test case, you've got something to show back to the business, more people will want to get involved and it will become a lot easier. So I think just get it started, get into it, you know, stop putting it off. And yeah, once you do, it'll all start to sort of roll and you'll get to see the great results from it as well.
Yep. Action always beats inaction, right?
Absolutely. And look, it's, you know, it's things that particularly Bo within his team, you know, sort of say out, but I think it's just so much more powerful coming from somebody like yourself, who's not only done it, but who are getting really, really great results as a result of that. So thank you so much, Maggie. We really, really do appreciate it. Look, if there isn't any more questions that's come through, then I just wanted to say a massive, massive thank you to you for sharing your VMJ journey with us. We really, really do appreciate you taking the time out. And thank you for everyone that's dialed in today as well. We hope that you got some good insights and takeaways from the session. We will be sending out the recording of this live session out in our newsletter at the end of this month. So please keep an eye out. And we also do little snippets of clips of Maggie's interview, and we'll pop that on our social media. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, everybody. And thanks again, Maggie. We loved having a chat with you today.
Thanks, Maggie.
Thank you so much for your time.